Hello, it's Randy Dewey. Today I have Alan Dick, founder of Impactfully. I loved our earlier chat and certainly your vast experience in what you've been doing with your company. And our audience loves to hear stories of how really great leaders have had unexpected crises and what they did with it. So tell me, Alan, explain a time when you experienced an unexpected crisis as a C-suite executive and leveraged it as an opportunity for growth.
Randy, great to be with you today. Thanks for having me on the podcast. When you first asked me about the story and experiences you just described, the answer came very clearly to me very quickly. It's something that I lived that I've never forgotten. It was February of 2009. I was sitting in my office in Cleveland, Ohio on a Wednesday evening, about 9 p.m., watching the snowfall outside. We were about to have a call with our senior executives from around the globe. And the reason we were having a call at that time of day, or that time of night, I should say, was we were going to announce to them that the following morning we were going to be filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. We had been purchased by a private equity firm 2 years earlier at the height of high leverage debt. And like a lot of private equity companies at the time, they purchased us with some equity and a large amount of debt. And consequently, we were facing down an annual interest payment on our long-term bond of $240 million a year. That was fine when we had projected EBITDA of $450 or $500 million. But unfortunately, you'll recall from that time period, we entered an economic crisis that nobody saw coming. The other unfortunate part, although a lot of companies were affected by it, was the fact that we were in three key markets. One was the housing and construction market, one was the automotive, and one was the aerospace. All of those markets or industries in that time quickly went from robust, growing, and vibrant to basically dead overnight. And so our 450 million of EBITDA projection for the upcoming year quickly turned into 75 million. Now, you and all the listeners could do the math really quickly on that and realize if you have 75 million that's coming in and 240 million of interest that's going out, it's not a good mathematical equation. While we were in the midst of waiting for our private equity sponsors to determine how much capital they were going to infuse in the business, we got a call one Saturday morning where they advised us that they had done all of the math and the calculations and had made the decision to let us go. Wow. And so they walked away from their $900 million of equity investment they had made 2 years earlier. And some of our senior executives immediately got working on plans to get DIP financing. And so by the end of the following week, we had DIP financing to allow us to continue to operate. And this really goes to the heart of the story. I would say that I attained an MBA in the next 13 months through work experience that was far beyond any MBA I ever got in school. We had to act. And one thing you realize is that bankruptcy is not a book. After Chapter 11 does not come Chapter 12. It comes Chapter 7 or there's nothing. And so we very quickly had to act. We had to be decisive. It had an adverse impact, obviously, on a lot of people. But we became so singularly focused in our own survival and doing what we needed to do for that day that it changed all of the way that we looked at how we ran our business. And so I would say the key takeaway was that in times of crisis, rather than getting paralyzed, you have to get motivated to act. You have to force yourself to do it. You have to get the information that you can as quickly as you can. And then you have to be decisive, make a decision, and move on.